Today, I will break down to you exactly how I manifest things into my life. From my scripting to my embodying the energy as if I already have it to the detachment from my desire. With my background in science, I was definitely skeptical of the law of attraction first. And it was only when I started to consciously manifest things into my life and they actually came true is when I truly grew my faith in the law of attraction. So even if you don't fully believe in it yet in the beginning, watch this video and I'll explain you exactly how to manifest things and grow your faith in the law of attraction. So my name is Davy. I am a PhD student in chemical engineering at the University of Cambridge, and in my free time I love to study things about psychology, the law of attraction, quantum physics of manifestation, and I want to bring science and self-development together, which actually have a lot of overlap. Now, how do you actually practically manifest things into your life? How have I done that for myself? That's what today's video is about. The video consists of 3 parts. First of all, I'll explain to you how I do my scripting. Secondly, I'll explain to you how I embody the energy of my desire. And thirdly, how I detach from my desire in order to receive. The first step in manifestation is expressing your desire. And the most effective way to do this is through scripting in perhaps a journal. If you don't have a journal yet, buy a journal. This is going to be part of your magic recipe. Now, how do you actually script things? How do you write things down? What is important with the scripting is that you write down your desires in a way that makes you feel good. One good way to script is as if your desire already happened. But there's no specific right or wrong here. You can also just write down at this point in my life, in a year or in a month, I want this to happen. And in that way, it's still in the future tense. It is about what is believable to you. It is about what makes you feel good. And the most important thing is that the way you script generates the emotions as if that desire is true. One of my favorite ways to script, writing a letter to my future self as if all of my desires have come into fruition. So I will write, let's say for example, dear 26-year-old Davy, which would be me in 2 years. And I write, I'm so proud of you that you achieved this. I'm so happy that you now have this. Look at you, you've done it. And then I imagine my future self reading that back as if it already happened. Now, that method really works for me, and it is a little bit subjective because that method is really convincing for me. I can actually picture myself reading it back because I've already manifested things into my life. So that is a method that makes me feel really good. But this is completely subjective for everyone. Now, what is important about the scripting as well is that you write about the feelings. You write about how does having the desire make you feel. And why is this feeling so important? The feeling is when you're tuning into your manifestation. Another tip for scripting is that you don't always have to write down the exact details or worry about the how it's gonna happen. For example, if you're trying to manifest a dream job, you don't know exactly what this job would look like yet. You just don't know what it would exactly be. But you do know how it would make you feel, or what type of colleagues you would have, or how much you would earn, etc. You could write about those things. It is very important that you stick to scripting as detailed as makes you still feel good and is still believable for you. And it's not about making a plan of how to do it. It is about writing about the end goal, the end desire, and how that makes you feel. You script about already having the desire. It is not about making a plan or exactly specifying how you're gonna get there. It is just about expressing your desire and expressing what you want in your life and how you want it to make you feel. So for example, when we're trying to manifest a relationship or specific people in our life, we might not exactly know what these people would look like. It is not about them writing down all of the characteristic traits. It is about how do you want the person to make you feel? How do you want to be treated? What kind of dates do you want to go on? What kind of circumstances you want to experience together? Now, when it comes to manifesting money, you can write down specific amounts. When you write down specific amounts, it's also easier to keep track of, your progress and whether you actually were able to manifest it. But then you don't need an exact plan of how to get there. Unless this is something you already know or you have a certain plan. It is about being as detailed enough as still feels good to you, as still is believable to you. And if the how feels like a worry and you don't know how to get there, then in that case, you shouldn't worry about the how, because those are not making you feel like you already have the desire. So it is okay to script specific scenarios as long as it makes you feel good. and it is still believable for you. Now, I've definitely scripted things before where when I wrote them down, I was maybe like 80% convinced that that would happen. I was like, okay, well, this is a bold number. Is this really gonna happen? But let's just write it down. Let's put it to faith, right? And sometimes I even forgot about writing that specific number. And then reading it back a few months or a year later, when those things actually came into fruition, that's really when things started to click and my faith in this scripting grew. It is honestly, it does feel magical. That's the only way I can put it. And again, my favorite technique is writing letters to my future self, imagining me reading it back. But sometimes I'm also writing down things like, oh, I want this to happen in a year. I want that to happen in a year. How you word it is just about what makes you feel good. When it comes to manifesting specific relationships, you can definitely write scenarios about what you want to go through together or how someone makes you feel. And for example, with your dream job, you could script a meeting that you have with your colleagues where you're all agreeing on the same thing, or any scenario that you could think of that makes you feel good. It is really all about the feelings. Does it make you feel good? Does writing down desire make you feel happy and excited? And that should really be your guide for how detailed am I gonna go. So how often do I script my desires? Most times it's enough to just script a desire once and then fully leave it up to the universe, because the more often we script, the more we're actually being impatient and subconsciously asking the universe, when is this gonna happen for me? And when we ask questions like when, we're not in a alignment and we're not in a receiving mode. However, if it still makes us feel good to script about our desires and it makes us feel excited, it is also okay to do it on maybe a weekly basis. As long as the feelings during the scripting feel like excitement and not like impatience. Now, the second stage in manifesting after you've done your scripting is going about your life embodying the energy of your desire. What happens when you start to script desire is that you then will go about your life and you'll start to see signs in your life. Signs of other people having your desire, or you have another synchronicity. Perhaps you encounter an article or a magazine that talks about something that you scripted about. And then it is really about being aware of those signs. The signs are put there to motivate you. Those signs indicate that you're on the way of getting into alignment with your desire. And how do you go about your life embodying the energy of your desire? Let's say, I go back to this example a lot, but if you want to be a millionaire, when you have this certain life decision in your life, ask yourself, what would millionaire, for example, Davy do? What would Davy do that already has the desire? And really start to pretend as if you already have it. Go about your day and remind yourself sometimes, oh, I'm so happy I have my desire now. And walk around thinking you already have it. Acting out as if you already have it is a very good one as well. For example, when it comes to manifesting a certain amount of money, take a screenshot of your bank account and change the numbers. Edit the numbers in and really, convince yourself that that is true. Look at it for a few seconds. And another important thing to do is, in any other aspect of your life, you need to cultivate that feeling of having the desire. Let's say you're trying to manifest a relationship or being in love. What else in your life makes you feel loved? What else in your life generates those loving feelings? It could be with friends, it could be with your family, or it could be watching a romantic movie. Do anything in your life that cultivates that same feeling. And when it comes to manifesting a certain amount of money or a certain achievement, be aware of the things that already make you feel like you achieved something. Practice gratefulness for the things you've already achieved. Really try to cultivate that feeling of achievement, or the way you would feel once you would have the desire. And anything in your life that currently makes you happy, or anything you go to that generates a happy feeling, really magnify those feelings. Really romanticize and intensify all of the good things that are happening in your life, so that you're constantly in a good vibration or constantly in a more positive frequency, because this makes it more likely to manifest any good thing into your life. And again, when going about your life, ask yourself, what would the future version of me do that already had the desire? And in that way, you're acting out as if you already have the desire. You're embodying that energy. Now, the third step in the manifesting process is the detachment. We need to be in a relaxed, receiving energy. If we're being too controlling and too attached to our desire, we're not able to receive because our hands are, clenched. The easiest things that I manifested were things that I scripted, wrote down, forgot about a little bit, and then looked back at it later and was like, wait, hey, those things actually happened. How do you truly detach? Well, your level of detachment you can measure through your feelings, through your emotions. If you think about your desire and you still have a lot of questions like how, when is it gonna happen? How is it gonna happen? You're still too attached and in a lacking frequency and not in a receiving mode. And the detachment comes from faith. The detachment comes from knowing that it will happen. And in the beginning, especially when you're new to manifesting, this detachment is really hard because you've never successfully manifested things into your life. So where does this faith come from? And that's why I would recommend maybe manifesting smaller things first, smaller amounts of money that you would believe are possible for you, or smaller events like friendships before you start manifesting relationships, or a certain work achievement instead of directly trying to manifest your dream job. And once those come into fruition, you've scripted those and they come true, that's when you grow your faith, and that's when it becomes easier and easier to detach in the future, because you're like, I know that the things that I manifest into my life will come into my life, and I know that if I stay too attached, things will not come. So I let go and I let God. I put my faith in the plan of the universe. I know that I need to not worry about the how or the exact details. I just need to express my desire and how I want to feel. And throughout my emotions, I can exactly feel how detached or attached I am. If I think about my desire and I'm like, oh, when is it gonna happen for me? I am too attached. When you ask questions like when and how, you're too attached. And in that case, I tell myself, it doesn't matter when and it doesn't matter how, because I know it will eventually happen, and that is enough. And I just let it go. When you try to get from one destination to another, you don't have to know the full route. You just have to look at what is in front of you and use your intuition to guide you based on what feels good to you. And even failure or setbacks, understand that those are growth opportunities. Those are meant to level you up to having your desire. Because if you're living in current poor life circumstances and you're trying to be much wealthier, you can imagine this requires a certain training, this requires certain changes made in your life. And the setbacks and the failures is what are our growth opportunities in order to get to the next level. But always hold faith that eventually the manifestation will come in. And don't worry too much about how long it's gonna take, because time is a human perception concept anyway. If you can hold an image in your mind, that means there is a reality that exists where you have that desire. All you need to do is make sure that your feelings and emotions align with the feeling of having the desire, and then it will come into your life eventually. Thank you so much for watching my video. Let me know in the comments if you learned something, or leave me a like and subscribe to my channel. I would really love that, and I would love to see you in my next video.